right. Welcome back, everybody. We are back in session, and we will begin with a presentation from the Economic Development Council.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Shutty, Mason County Economic Development Council, and I'm joined by
Annette Roth, the Executive Director of the Evergreen Coast Regional Partnership.
Yeah, so this is our quarterly update to you all. We had submitted our quarterly reporting a couple of weeks ago, and so we're following up on that, and so I'm sure you all had a chance to review it, and if you have any questions specific to the report, happy to answer those, but thought I would go through and hit a couple of highlights, and then Annette and I wanted to chat a little bit about the Economic Development District and some of the things that are going on there, and so we'll just kind of kick off. The big news you probably saw earlier this year, last month actually, we had received a nice gift from the United States Department of Agriculture for our Farmers Market Promotion Program grant proposal. So we're excited to kick that work off. This is actually, I want to kind of go back and maybe draw a straight line from something we did previously to this project, and that was the industry sector analysis study that the county funded through ARPA funds in 24 and 25. One of our key industries here is ag and aquaculture, and so through that process we had some focus groups and opportunities to interact with farmers in the community. And one of the things that they said pretty clearly in those discussions was, hey, we grow and produce a lot of really great things in Mason County. We have some markets for those products here, but we would like to find ways to expand what we're able to do locally. So we made a note of that, and it became one of the key actions that we had as part of the industry study that we completed. And then we went on the hunt for money to do that work, and we put a proposal into the USDA, and they funded it. We were hoping that we would be able to have this project started in the fall, but with the government shutdown and things like that, their review process was a little bit delayed, and then we had about a 6-week back and forth period that they call a negotiation period with USDA, where we had to refine some things because of delays on their end and so on and so forth. But got the announcement in March, and so from there we've started to do a couple of things. One, Thurston EDC is going to do do some sort of business planning support and things like that for our markets, and do some feasibility study here for, is there the potential to expand the farmers markets that are active here? Are there ways that we can look at them adding another day a week, both up in Belfair and here at Shelton? And ultimately, is there a place for a permanent market facility somewhere in the county? So there's going to be some interesting work done on that side of it. We are also hiring for a position to do the project management and implementation on this. And so our posting closed last week, and we're going to hopefully have interviews at the end of this month. And my goal is to have somebody on board in June so they can really kind of hit the ground running and get started with this. So it's a 3-year funding window for us, and we were able to be competitive for this for a couple of reasons. One, the industry sector study that you guys funded, but also we had a great support from partners like Mason Matters, who was able to contribute some funding to the matching component of this. Jeff Slakey from KMAS has contributed some airtime for us to promote both the markets and the program overall. And so those things, in addition to some of the support we have, like from Larry Bolts and the Farm Bureau and Conservation District and so on and so forth, the Economic Development District, really made it a strong application. And so with that, we were one of 3 awarded in the state and one of 43 awarded in the nation. So we're pretty excited about that. I think this will be a fun project for the community.
How much total were you awarded?
Total all-in project is just under $375,000.
Over 3 years?
Over 3 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Yeah, so a good bit of money. That's a good capacity builder for the organization, and it is a 3-year project, but hopefully as it gets up and running, we're identifying additional funding to keep that work going and get it to that next level, and and hopefully the markets ultimately are the ones benefiting here. So we continue to work on our child care grant. We have just a couple of months left to go on that. We've had 6 coalition meetings this past spring, winter, and fall. Our strategic plan is coming together, so we'll have that posted up on our website with our draft strategic plan here in the next week or two. We're waiting on it to get translated into Spanish as well, so we can post it in both English and Spanish. But just appreciate the county's support on that. We've had a lot of other employers in the community, both private and public sector, engaged on that. And so that work continues. I hope when we're back together the next time for our next quarterly update, we can go in a little bit more detail about what that strategic plan is and what we think is going to help going forward. The other exciting thing for us, and this is in partnership with the Economic Development District, but we have applied for a University of Washington Sea Grant Fellow, and our project was selected,
Yeah.
and so we're pretty excited about that. The focus for that position, again, that's 98% funded by UW. We'll probably have to kick in a little bit to help support both through in-kind office space and some, just IT and stuff like that to support it, but very minimal local cost to us. But this is a 2-year fellowship. The focus of that is going to be helping the ports in the maritime economy here in the county. So going out and working directly with all the ports in the county to identify what their infrastructure needs are, help them prepare a strategic plan, help them prepare a funding toolkit to be able to go and get the money that they need in order to get their projects moving. That would also include the county in the sense that you all have Latimer's Landing, which is a significant boat launch for shellfish and fishing activities. So there's going to be, I think, a really cool opportunity for this fellow to dive in and really help support all of those organizations. Annette did the bulk of the work on that, and we were happy to help support it. And so they'll be living with Annette at the EDD, but
Not in my house.
not in her house. No, although housing was an issue that we had to address. I offered all of your houses up for them. Just kidding, of course, unless you're interested. But it's. We'll have interviews for this position in June, and hopefully they get started August, September, and they're off to the races there as well.
Yeah,
So.
and one of the great things about this project is, so it is in partnership with Mason County, with Civic County, and we're able to take the work that we do and help support collectively the ports, particularly the smaller ports, to make sure that they're that they're going to be sustainable for the long term. And also, University of Washington is funding this fellowship. So, like Kevin said, which I think we don't really think about how important and beneficial that will be for us, because a lot of that administrative and HR burden is lifted from organizations. Sea Grant wants to make sure that organizations that need capacity building have that opportunity, and so this is an opportunity for all of us to grow our capacity to help support economic development
So
in the region.
what would that look like? I'm loving it so far, because I was the port commissioner for 6 years, and I just keep thinking of those small ports. How would that look like? Let's say the administrator of the Port of Allen, he would come to your person and ask to help put together a plan, and they can help him structure, because he's young at this.
Sure.
And let's be honest, he doesn't have that. That would be a heck of a thing for him, as would some of the others, Port of Duato, and they don't have the ability to do that, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So it could be that. I mean, ideally, we would be more proactive than that and going out to them and having those kinds of conversations. I guess probably about 5 or 6 months ago, we hosted a port forum where we invited all of the port districts in our 4-county region to come together. And, we wanted to kind of introduce the Economic Development District, get to know them a little bit better. We held it out at SATSUP. We had, I think, 9 of the 11 ports that showed up, which was pretty impressive.
Travis was there for that.
Yeah, Travis was there. And we kept hearing from them a couple of things like, wow, this is really cool that we have the opportunity to be together and to have this kind of regional conversation. And then also, we just kept hearing over and over and over again that a lot of them are having very similar challenges. Even the larger ports, like if you think of Grays Harbor or Olympia, they're having similar challenges as the smaller ports, just on a larger scale, right? And so this would give us an opportunity. They wanted, during that port forum, they asked for us to help support them in some of that work. And so that was kind of the outgrowth of this fellowship. When the fellowship opportunity came up, we thought, why not, why not do it that way? So.
So, what you mentioned there's be a small amount of match. Some of it will be with housing, how you're housing stuff, and office space. And what are you looking for a cash need?
We'll get to that in a few minutes.
Okay. So, that's all right.
I've been around long enough to know that you should never come empty-handed with an ask. So I think there's just 2 quick things that I wanted to touch on before I get to the kind of the bulk of what we're going to be asking for. On the recruitment side of things, we've been working very closely. We're calling it Project Canuck. You know how they love their code names. But this is a opportunity to have a British company from British Columbia relocate to Shelton. We are one of one on the list, so they're either going to move or they're not. And so we've been working with them. They do a lot of work kind of in the ag and aquaculture space in terms of producing, containers and things like that those producers use. And so we've been working with them since November. They are under, an LOI with the Port of Shelton, and so that's moving along really well. We've had an opportunity through that to learn a lot about tariffs and visas and how all the immigration process and everything works. And not something we've done a whole lot of, but that would be a great project for here. About 30 jobs and the potential to bring down a subsidiary company as well once they get established here. So probably double that jobs number over the next 3 to 4 years if we're successful in helping them get settled here. So. And then just a reminder, I think staff has seen that our local SEDS list request is out. So this is the annual update to that. So I think we gave folks until the end of this month to submit their projects. And so we'll be back in front of our board with that hopefully in May. And then if that's approved by our board in May, we'll be back in front of you in June or July to hand it over to you all so that you can approve it and move forward. So kind of back to the Sea Grant opportunity, but also just as it ties to the Economic Development District. So it's also SEDS related in that Annette has been with us now for about a year and a half. But if you recall, we went back to 2022, 2023 to establish the Economic Development District. And as part of that, we did an initial federal SEDS list, which is much more comprehensive and much more detailed than what we do here locally. So fortunately or not, it's time to update that SEDS list for the federal government. And as I mentioned earlier, there have been some issues with, sort of the government shutdowns and things like that, delaying processes. And so part of the problem that we're facing at the EDD is that the approval at the Federal Economic Development Administration for funding for the EDD has been delayed as they continue to work through their federal process. It's just bureaucracy. It's not an issue with anything other than, going through the government process. That said, Thurston County has led the way on kind of funding the EDD and making sure that it's stood up and everything. And so it's time that we have a conversation about how we support that SEDS update here, and wanted to come and talk to you guys about a contract amendment for us so that we could support that SEDS list process and give Annette the resources that she needs. Thurston EDC is still in it for a significant amount of money. My colleagues in Pacific and Grays Harbor are also having similar conversations with their funders and their community. And then we actually are bringing Lewis County into the EDD as well, and so they have made their contribution. And so we're not first money in, we're third money in on this, which is a more comfortable place to be. But we were hoping to get $30,000 into our amendment to be able to support that work at the EDD. And Annette maybe can just talk a little bit about what that process looks like and what Mason County gets out of that and why that's a justified expense.
Sure, so it's a very comprehensive process. The federal government has really strict, I guess you could say, or they have very specific requirements around what the SEDS looks like. So not only is it the the SEDS list of infrastructure projects, so we have to develop and figure out those infrastructure projects across the entire region. When we bring a new county into our economic development district, which, as I believe you all know, and Pat is on our board and has probably talked about this, that we have to actually go through the entire redesignation process all over again. So all of the work that we did to get the 4 counties into it become an economic development district, we essentially have to do that again. One of the requirements is writing this comprehensive economic development strategy for the entire region. So it's going to entail a lot of public outreach, a lot of strategic planning work in all of the counties, individually, collectively looking at all of our sectors that we have. The industry is where the commonalities are, where the challenges are in each of the communities, and coming up with a regional plan for how we're going to address those things and how we're going to move things forward. Also talking about the SEDS funding, so all of these SEDS projects that could exist. What does it look like for us to have a funding strategy to ensure that we can bring funds into those projects or help organizations or community groups that are working on those projects to be able to plan a little bit better for that, right? And so we're looking at that through that regional lens. It does impact each one of the individual counties. You know, they're all unique and they have unique needs and challenges. And our job through all of this is to ensure that we can make sure that the needs of Mason County are represented adequately and accurately in this SEDS, so that as we move forward and we have opportunities to go after different funding sources or to bring projects to fruition, that Mason County is getting those resources and getting that investment brought into the community.
So, on that, this year, we just substantially increased. There's substantially, not a little, it was huge. So I'm keeping that in my mind as we're going forward. The SEDS list for federal, that's new to me. I understand completely why we do the SEDS at the state level.
Sure.
Are they doing it on the federal level on the same thing in order to get grants and stuff like that? Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so, essentially it's very similar. One of the things about those, having those project lists available for the federal government is that in some ways having that list built into your regional SEDS, into your federally designated SEDS process gives you in some ways a leg up on getting that funding, because they are already saying, okay, the federal government can look at the project and say there's a through line between the regional approach that you have and the funding, the economic development strategies that you have that go for those projects. So oftentimes when you're applying for these big infrastructure grants, it will specifically say, is this built into a SEDS, yes or no? And if it's not, then it's a little bit of a ding. And if it is, then it gives you a little bit.
So you're saying ASEDS though?
Right, so the regional one, a regional SED. So the way that it works is that you guys have your SED strategy, which is approved by the county so that you can look at state funding, but there's ones that have to be approved by the federal government. In an individual county like Mason County can't go to the EDA and have their SEDS approved individually. It has to be done regionally. And so that's where our economic development district comes in, so it helps to support all of those communities
If you
together.
wouldn't mind sharing that with me with an email, so I can.
Absolutely,
put that
happy to do
in-
that, or,
and
you know,
then-
happy to sit down and have a
and read the
conversation.
backgrounds and stuff.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense to me, I just wanna,
Yeah.
I need to see it, he's working on it, I need to see it too.
Sure.
Both, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
So this is just an updated one, because we did receive the last one
yeah, so it's
about 2 years
2
ago.
years ago, so we're required by federal statute to redo or update our SEDS every 5 years, or in the case of changing something significantly with the district, either removing or adding counties into the mix, then we have to essentially redo it. And so because we're working to bring Lewis County in, which is going to make our entire region from the workforce development perspective, we have the same library system in the 5-county region. We've all collectively kind of thought that it makes a lot of sense for us to be collective in that way. We're looked at from the state of Washington as a collective region in the 5 counties, so making sure that all of that is organized makes sense.
I think there was a question when this first got created, why Lewis wasn't part of ours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, initially we had thought that they were part of another one and you can only be in one, and it turns out they weren't in any. So that was kind of an interesting thing to find out after the fact. We'd have obviously included them, I think, initially, but yeah, better late than never.
right.
So, and their check cleared, so that helps.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, the potential gain from the $30,000 is it's pretty high.
Yes and no, because, we're already gonna be in the SEDS list, we're looking at an investment for that position, not for the SEDS list. If that's the case, then we've got a different problem. But we're looking at paying the $30,000 to be able to maintain that position.
Yep.
That's a whole different thing, and don't get me wrong, I have respect for it, I'm considering it in my head, because it makes sense to keep it going. They used to be 1 years and years and years ago, and it died a miserable death.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we know. I mean, there were a lot of challenges and reasons for why that is, and understanding the historical context of what happened during that period of time was something that, you know, we keep in the forefront of all of the planning and the development of how our economic development district has developed. You know, what's interesting is we have a different mix of people and organizations in the economic development district than used to be. So now Thurston County is part of it, Lewis County will hopefully be part of it. Those two counties were never in an economic development district with the other three counties before. We, as the 5-county region, have had a long history of collaboration in all kinds of activities, you know, sort of doing outreach and you know, trade missions to different areas, the economic forecast and innovation expo, which is something that we've been working on for almost 20 years collectively. So, you know, there's been a lot of that sort of, you know, collective thinking, how people work together, but the economic development district allows the individual counties to take advantage of that regionalism. You know, oftentimes Kevin and his folks are focusing on what's happening in Mason County and not always aware of other things that are happening in Pacific County or Grace Harbor that could be very similar. And so that's where we can come in and say, hey, let's work together on these kinds of
Kevin
solutions.
was a great example of being a person that's in the middle of all that when we found out how much it was needed when he was trying to create those districts. Those, I forget the term we used for the federal districts that you worked on for a while, but we ran into some shortages of information and bringing it to people together. If we'd had that organization, it would have been a lot easier to accomplish that. And so it's not, like I said, it's not lost on me. Can you also please include, and I'm not sure which one I'm talking to, so please include the breakdown on how you're expecting funding from the other parties.
Yeah,
So that I could look at that in comparison with what we're asking for.
Yeah, and I'll just
So far, Thurston has carried all the water,
Yeah.
100%, so.
Yeah, you know, and I think a good example of how this is already benefiting us is that Sea Grant Fellowship. I mean, that's, you know, $80,000 a year for the next 2 years of, you know, good work coming into the community. That, you know, that's the unlock for Mason County, and you know, that's something that if we went to the 5 port districts, it'd be hard for them to be able to come close to the service that they're going to get. And that was sponsored by the EDD, and that was the lion's share of the work there was done by Annette and made that happen. So,
Right.
you know, so that's an example of, you know, the things that we want to keep doing for the community, that, you know, ultimately making sure that the EDD is solvent and that the SEDS list is updated and accurate and meets federal requirements is, you know, that's kind of the best return on our investment.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's already evident, the value that the EDD has for Mason County, so. Yeah, I guess, I'd support it if you're gonna bring it forward.
Like I said, I'd like to see the numbers and stuff before I start saying I support anything. See if the numbers are what they actually look like, and then compared to our numbers as we're going through our budget, some of those monies are gonna be necessary for '09 and stuff, for the sewer, for the you know, the hole up there, the pit, but there's so many other things, and you just mentioned a couple of others that I understand. I just got briefed on it a little bit, but that was one of the things I was being briefed on before I came in. So, so I have those numbers in my head, and I'm trying to figure them all out and how to do it, and still maybe offset it with using some of those funds to supplant law enforcement. And you'll understand that. Here. So that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah. Well, I think 2 things. I think one, we can certainly send you the background and you can take a look at it. And then, you know, ideally what I think we'd like to do is have a conversation with Jen about the amendment process and what that looks like. So you have a little bit of time out, you know, to do it. But I think we'd like to get this started, you know, this spring. And
and like I said, I'm definitely not against it, because the one thing I'm looking at is I know what it was like to need it when it wasn't there. You know, through him, of course, but he was one dealing. But you don't forget those things. Things you can do when you have something, you don't even know you need it until all of a sudden you find it doesn't exist. It's not there. They died and went away. So there's other values to it. I just want to weigh it all out and see that's fair all the way through.
For sure.
That makes sense, absolutely.
I think that another thing that I love hearing that you're doing is working with the ports.
I love that.
We need for them to bring in more economic development, because that's not gonna hurt the county at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think if we're successful in that, and we help them find other pockets of money, that's also a relief to 09, so that they're not feeling like they have to come back for that, so.
Right.
Not that they won't or shouldn't, but that, there's, maybe other opportunities that we can identify as well.
Right, and last week I had an opportunity I had a meeting with the director of the Washington Ports Association and told him about this project that we were working on, this fellowship, and I mean, they were really excited about this opportunity and the fact that, there could be opportunities for us to take the work that we get or that we produce from this fellowship, and be able to say, oh, here's a model for how we can do really successful port sort of technical assistance that all of the ports potentially in Washington could use. So, I look at this like, primarily we want to ensure that we can help our region be very successful, but if we can have a work product that other people can take and look at it as a model and as a best practice, that's something that's really valuable for us as well, that
Well,
puts our
if you
district
can-
on the map.
Help them jump that big canyon between these larger ports that have the ability to do this stuff and all the rest of them. Because,
Sure.
if you ever attend one of the small ports, majority of them are small ports, and they
Right.
don't have that. If you can create that with our small little group, that may be a big thing for all of them, because they don't have the ability to do any of that.
Right, and a lot of it is just because they're small, short-staffed, or
Yeah.
sometimes they don't even have full-time staff or part-time staff. When you're trying to run an organization or run a port, you're focusing on the immediate things, and sometimes it's hard to take that space to do that long-term planning. That's where the technical assistance from us comes into play, and also gives us the opportunity to help other organizations to grow their capacity without having to take on the burden of doing it. We can share that sort of work with them, because they are economic development organizations as well, right?
Yeah.
And by statute, that's one of their main
Well, if you get
focus
in their
areas.
comprehensive scheme, they may learn. Now, scheme is not my word, it's their,
Theirs.
they use
Sure.
that for company, but they may learn,
Right.
just because they have it in there.
Right,
They don't have it in there now, what they do is probably carried over from 20 years ago and uses the same words with a few adjustments, but there's no plan in
Yeah.
it.
right, so, I mean, those are some of the things that we would look at
That's
in this
exciting.
project, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm on the EDD, so I'm biased, I support it.
Great.
I've seen the fruits of this, so.
Well, we'll get you some information and talk to Jen, and
And still need a number on the one for the ports, the fellow, the match that.
Oh,
there
that's
isn't-
not, that's
there
not,
isn't
there
one.
isn't one.
There isn't one.
There isn't
For
no
you.
cash
No,
match?
no.
That's, would be, whatever we need to do would be able to do with what we already have.
Yeah,
Okay.
or,
Yep.
I mean, in the case of, so we have to sort of provide them office space, which we have space for that, where my offices are, a
IT.
computer,
Yeah.
IT type stuff, and
But you
so
can do
those,
it all internally.
Yeah,
yeah, those are
yeah,
the things that
yeah.
we would be able to do
Yeah, and that's
internally.
I probably teed that up the wrong way, but I was using that to say, hey, there's this other opportunity where Match helps support projects like that because of what the EDD is doing for us here in Mason County, so,
Gotcha.
yeah, but that is, thankfully, that is all covered by UW. So,
awesome.
yeah, so,
Except for some of those smaller ancillary costs like you
Right.
mentioned, like
Shoot,
paying the
we're gonna have to
electric bill
start
for
thinking
the
you
extra
done.
office.
well, that's what I was gonna say, I'm
That's
glad
minimal.
Teutoburg isn't here today, cause they're weird, but, I guess go Dogs for now.
Yeah.
Our land grant university is Wazoo, so
Yeah, yeah,
we have the land and sea grants,
That's
which
true.
is pretty cool.
yeah,
I like you did.
yeah.
I'm agnostic. I didn't go to school here for college, so.
My son did.
Oh, okay.
I got relatives graduating from both, so.
There you go.
Mixed family.
yeah.
Yeah, so, that's all we have, unless there's any other questions you have about economic development or really anything else.
Great.
I think they can have, so, excellent, good to see you, commissioners, we'll let you get back to it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Later.
All right.
It's so funny, my niece that graduated from UW, I got her a letter of congratulations from the governor. If I'd have given it to the niece that graduated from WSU, she'd have thrown it back at me.
Oh, wow.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
You sound like I feel.
Somewhere in there, we're missing Kell.
She, I believe, is watching online. So good morning, Commission. My name is Josh. I am the building official for Mason County, and I am sitting next to Randy Collins, the fire marshal, and we are here to present some updates and changes to the burn ordinance, in particular Mason County Code, Chapter 9.48. And Randy's gonna do hopefully most of the talking, so.
Well, probably. Anyways, good morning, Commissioners. As you probably recall, I made a presentation actually last fall to this group talking about the burn regulations, and one of the outcomes of that was a need to update the burn regulations since they had last been done so in 1995, so we're talking over 31 years. One of those changes is actually in 2008, or excuse me, before that, the county actually entered an MOU with Orca in order to do land clearing burn permits, which is actually very unique, and I've learned from Orca, we're the only county in the state that actually does that, so it was obviously important to incorporate those changes as well. Aside of that major change, the other changes we've done to the ordinance is to include a definition section in the front portion. I did that just from experience because of all the phone calls I get, probably I'd say 40% are related to burn-related questions, and I found that by having those definitions there, it could probably help the public understand what's going on and where all the delegation of authority exists. A big example is agricultural burning. We have absolutely nothing to do with it, but Orca does regulate it. So if somebody calls me, I say, nope, go to Orca, and here's the provision right in the ordinance. So hopefully that will help the public. The other changes we made was we included provisions to give us more enforcement options. Title 15, our enforcement ordinance, is rather cumbersome. So anything we can do to kind of streamline and make it easier for staff, I'm all for that. Some of the things that we run into is we obviously get egregious violators. And one of the questions I had to my boss several years ago was, can we just revoke their permit? Can we suspend their burning privileges? And my response was, and this was confirmed by Tim Whitehead, no, not unless you put it in the ordinance. So those provisions have been added in that as well. So I do want to bring to your attention two very small changes. I did get an 11th hour request from Orca to make a small change to one of the conditions about written permits. And written permits, Orca reminded me that written permits would not be required for recreational burning or Indian ceremonial fires. That would be not on tribal land. So in other words, if any Indian group wanted to have a ceremonial fire and it was not on tribal or trust lands, they're actually required to get a permit from Orca. So I made a small change to that. And I got it cleared through Tim Whitehead. And if you're interested, it's in red. You're welcome to take a look at that. The other very small changes, and this came from McKinsey in regards to the notice of hearing published dates, rather than the 7th and the 14th dates that are identified in the staff report, it's actually the 14th and 21st. But otherwise, everything else is as presented. So my request to you is that you'll set this for the action agenda to set a public hearing for May 26th at the April 28th meeting. And that concludes my report unless you have any questions.
I'm supportive.
It's great.
I have one comment on the new Indian ceremonial fires. You might want to add that not on
Tribal land.
tribal land in that sentence.
Okay.
Because, just to clarify that, we have no authority on what they do on their sovereign land. Other than
So
that,
it's bullets, or it's C and then 9.4.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right. Anything else I can? Wonderful.
Nothing.
nope,
All right.
that's good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Commissioners.
And then-
Still waiting for you to bring us stuff so we can start making things easier. I know you're swamped, but when the time comes, we're gonna love it when you bring them to us.
Okay, let's see. Stay tuned.
Okay. I've asked
Thank you.
over the years to go back and see what things can come out that don't have to be there. He has quite a few examples. But doing it, it's a different story.
We're the only ones in the room, so that makes sense. Who is it? Good morning. Good morning.
Bueller?
Okay, Dave Windom, Mason County Public Health and Human Services, and we only have one item today, and that'll be brought to you by Melissa.
Good morning. The one item I have is
And you are?
Melissa Casey,
Oh,
Community
okay.
Health Manager, Public Health and Human Services. I have a contract amendment for North Mason Regional Fire Authority's Mobile Integrated Health Program. So we currently have a grant through the Department of Health to add clinical services to our syringe service programs. So we've actually been contracting with them since March of last year. They are now fully staffed, so they have been trying to hire. This was kind of in conjunction with their expansion of the mobile integrated health into South Mason County. So they now are fully staffed. They have 2 advanced registered nurse practitioners, psychiatric nurse practitioner, a licensed practical nurse, and a peer specialist. So this additional funding it's through the end of our contract term with our DOH contract. So it will be to support the additional staff, as well as some really important and critical laboratory equipment that will assist them in being able to, so let me back up and say, when somebody's ready to go to treatment, you need laboratory testing, things like urinalysis, kidney, liver function, those types of things. Currently, I don't know if that has to be referred out. I don't know if you have to like go to a provider for that, but the equipment that they're able to purchase with these funds will actually allow them to get those results immediately so that they can get someone off a lot more faster and efficiently.
Where do these funds come from?
We have a grant with the Department of Health, Drug User Health Program.
And you have plenty.
Yes, oh yes, we have
that one.
I think it's great. And I know that they're doing a great job out there, so if we can
They've
support them.
been really great
absolutely.
partners.
Yeah.
And this is why we invested in getting a mobile unit. We're really hoping to be able to use that a lot more. Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we just asked that this get put on the next action agenda, which will be the 28th.
Okay.
Easy
got it.
peasy. That's all I got.
That was easy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning again.
Good morning again. All
You didn't even
righty.
get to leave, did you?
Well, we went and looked at some roads, some paving projects, and yes, circle back. All right, first up, we have the Shetland RID, the
And you
long.
get to announce who you are to the public,
Oh, sorry.
please.
Loretta Swanson, Public Works, Utilities, and Waste Management Director.
I'm Mike Collins, I'm the Mason County engineer. And we were requesting to set a public hearing for the final assessment roll for the Shetland RID. This will also accept the road into the road log and set the speed limit for it. So we'd like to set that date of June 9th.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and there's a giant packet associated with all of that, so happy to answer any questions you might have about the packet and details and, but we're ready. We're excited to,
That is a bad road. So, yes, it needs.
yes, yeah. Next is the language access plan, and this is for Title VI compliance. And this is a new thing that we've needed to prepare. And so we're simply asking commissioners' approval to submit this to DOT to comply with Title VI. And I do want to acknowledge and thank Kelly Metcalf, who did a tremendous amount of work on this with her team. And also Kim and her folks for taking a look at it from an overall umbrella perspective for the county. appreciate the collaboration on that.
Are we going to be able to benefit from some of these AI translators in this program?
Not certain about that. That's something that probably Kim would be better able to answer on that. So we have, in practice, particularly for our utility rate customers, they will use translators, apps on their phone to visit with us. But, so that is something that we're using as part of practice. But then there are also particular requirements about people that are certified to do that. And so I know that Kim was taking a look at just kind of the bigger picture, making sure that everyone knows who that roster is, what resources are available, and how we can put that to use. But yes, we're putting AI to use as well. Yeah.
We'll be hearing more transit on this one,
Oh, do you have the same?
I think.
Probably
Some of the
so,
same issues.
yes, same deadlines.
Yeah,
Yep.
transit and EDC.
Yeah, yep,
Yep,
yeah.
I'm good with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then next up, we received, some time ago, I shared with commissioners that we were anticipating receiving a final accounting from the Army Corps of Engineers as a result of our terminating the projects out there under the partnership agreement. And so we did receive an invoice from the Corps for the final accounting for the PED phase, which was preliminary engineering and design. And they have an estimate of what the balance is as well for the construction phase. And since we don't have a Skokomish Flood Control Zone District Fund, we're left looking at what are other possible resources. And so REIT 2 is a potential use
What are
to
some
pay
of the
that.
outlets?
General fund, I don't know what else, Randy. But REIT 2, since it is a project and it's on our capital facilities plan, it is an eligible activity that REIT 2 could fund. So I did review that with Jen to make sure that she thought that she was in agreement. A lot of times these things take more than one head to look at. I may look at that gray area or not gray area and say, yeah, this is eligible, and it's helpful to have other eyes on it as well.
Because it's Pat's district, would you mind breaking down a little bit about how this came about and what happened so people?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just simply that we had a partnership for many, many years. This project's been ongoing for a long time, working through preliminary engineering and design. Well, I'll back way up. First, there was a feasibility study, so just taking a look at what are restoration efforts and projects that could help benefit the Skokomish Valley. And out of that, there was a laundry list of projects that could be implemented. And the top 5 projects are what the Skokomish Tribe and Mason County and the Army Corps of Engineers entered into a partnership agreement to execute. And there were federal funds brought to the table and then local monies through grants that the conservation district secured. And so we got through the preliminary engineering and design phase, and that took quite a bit of time. And then it came to be the time to do construction. And so there was a separate agreement executed for the construction phase, and that's what we had been working on to secure basically the land to be able to construct the project. And that it was just a very challenging process. Some folks were more than willing to negotiate and provide property, and others not, and others that were willing didn't necessarily like the standard terminology of the federal government, which was very prescribed, and they just didn't like how that was written. So, long story short, the commission decided to say, no, we're done. We need to find a different way to accomplish these projects. And so sent notice to the Army Corps of Engineers that we were terminating our side of the partnership agreement.
There was huge amount of money allocated to us.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah. So that's the difficult thing. There were a lot of funds that were set aside for quite some time that could have gone to other projects that yielded benefit as well. So that's kind of a long-winded, but that's the background on that. Anything else, Commissioner, that I missed? Highlights, lowlights?
I'm just thinking and trying to think of where else the monies could come from, but I don't see it in my head at least.
Yeah,
Cause you can't just use road fund monies for this, you can't,
no,
just right now, I'm thinking of the future, needing every dollar we can, but it is what it is.
mm-hmm,
And it's funny how they give you an estimate and it's down to the penny.
right. Yes.
Yeah, we couldn't have rounded it up 2 cents.
I know.
Yep.
Might as well, get it on the agenda though, so we can start the process, cause we're gonna have to go through an amendment, so.
Okay. And then I'm not sure how you want to do this, Commissioners. I wanted to give you an idea of what the big picture was, like the PED phase, which we know that's a known amount, and then what they're estimating for the construction. So you had an idea of what that total dollar amount looks like. But we
When
would.
did they expect to have that other number finalized? When did they expect to have the money?
Well,
This year, next year?
this year, I believe, certainly for the PED phase,
Yes.
once they make that. But the thing that they haven't, they have to first say, yes, we concur up the chain. So at the Northwest level, they said, yes, we concur that we're terminating our side of the agreement, but they're still waiting for official termination.
If we put
And
the whole
once
amount
that
in,
happens,
if we put the whole amount in and we don't spend it, it ain't a big
right,
deal.
right,
So we're probably better off just having the budget amendment for the whole thing.
yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I agree.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. We'll get moving on that. Or Jen will, or I'm not sure who will lead the charge on that, but we'll get moving on that. And I think that's all I had, other than just if you've got any questions about what I emailed on Friday about the proposed
The
safety
John Prairie
improvements. Glad to chat with you about that, but certainly wanted you to see that because it'll come up in other arenas, whether it's Mason Transit or with the port or the EDC. So certainly wanted to have that in front of you so you weren't hit cold by it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
It would be redundant for me.
Yep.
Transit, EDC.
Right, yep, you'll see it in all those areas.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And like I said, if you've got any questions for Mike and I about that, before those meetings, we're glad to talk with you about it.
So if we don't go through with it as the agreement, as PUD has suggested, what does that leave us? I mean,
Well, I think a lot of it is simple maintenance activities that we perform anyway. And Mike and Jeremy and Dave Smith have been out to take a look at some of the suggestions, and we've got thoughts about what can be done.
Yeah, let's do it a different way. When will we get those thoughts on it so that we can decide whether we wanna play ball or?
Sure, happy to share.
Yeah, we can, so they're looking for an analysis to try to change the speed limit. They're looking for all these different things. Well, specific things like object markers for driveways and stuff. Object markers are for objects. They're for bridge ends. They're for guardrail ends. They're not for driveways. You mark something else to mark your driveway with. So simple things like that is just no, we're not gonna do that, type of thing, or makes people do that. But other things can be looked at, and the speed limit could be looked at, although enforcement would be,
So it sounds like it's not a blanket anyway.
No.
We need to break this down.
yes,
Yes.
Just maybe stick with our own policies
Yes.
that they're welcome to.
yes.
Thank you for your input.
The milling of the,
That makes more sense.
striping and putting thermoplastic in, you still aren't gonna see that at nighttime. You're gonna mill things, you're not gonna cut, I'm not cutting holes in my road anyway. And so putting the buttons down are the way to go. And we're even starting a new plan to actually put the white buttons down by the fog lines where roads are, where we have our paved road shoulders are wide enough to actually implement that kind of program too, to help be able to visually see the fog line that way. So we are already starting to do some of those things.
So why did they think they should take the lead on,
I don't know.
well, for myself, I'm just speaking for myself in the future, I can tell right now, just your body language and everything else, next time just spit it out to us, tell us, hey, appreciate it, but, because, we pay you guys and we respect your opinions and you know our roads and you're the ones that are in charge of our roads. Us up here, we'll go along with things because we look at it, it's okay to me, but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't functionally work.
Right.
So please, next time, just spit it out and say, because I know where I'm at on it now, I'm pretty clear.
Yeah.
There's some things in there we can look at. He's talking about chevrons, signs, and different things like that. That's things we'll evaluate, and if we think it's necessary, we'll put them up and stuff. If the speed limit can be changed, or needs to be changed, we'll evaluate that and
As you always
implement
have.
it one way or the other. Yeah. So he's talking about some speed display signs they were going to buy and have us put them up. Okay, if you want to buy them, we'll stick them. We can put those up.
And they maintain them too, of course.
Well, that's just it. That's,
Well, we go
that's-
through that, we have to,
That's
deal
the,
with the
that's
state.
the part that we want to, talk about with them is, okay, if they get tore down or if they get broke, whose are they? And they would prefer that it's ours, obviously. But there's some things we can do. Where they were talking about putting the streetlights up and maintaining that all through that corridor, we're not against that by any means. So, although most of your crashes are not at night, they're in daytime, and they're in dry weather, and they're in the summertime, and they
Right.
hit fixed objects. So,
Right.
the geometry of the road is big swooping curves. You've been on it, straight stretches. That's where they crash for whatever reason. And but it's really kind of odd on that road because most of the traffic on that road, locals usually don't take it. Heading to 3 because it's so hard to negotiate getting on.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of odd as much traffic as it does get, and then it crashes. Most of the crashes are right around just before the railroad on each side. And
Really?
we can't make any heads of why.
What might
Well,
be
it's
right
tough
now.
for us to-
By BCP.
Yeah, it's a flat grade, and it's paved 34 foot wide, and it's, what else do you want me to do?
Puzzling.
Right?
So we're in the process of evaluating the steps to the request, and we can respond to the PED about, we'll do this, but we're not gonna do this, and this is why, type of thing, and more so not necessarily sign any agreement, just implement those.
Yeah, if we sign an agreement, we're given authorities over it.
Yes.
You know how I feel about that.
Correct.
Again, that's why we pay,
Agreed.
Yep,
and we make the decisions as they change.
Thank you.
yeah. That's that.
And it's a good thing when he smiles.
So, that's a good thing.
That's a good
For
thing.
those in the audience, he doesn't smile a lot.
He's always smiling.
He's working on it.
I'm working on it.
All right.
But yeah,
anything-
we'll respond to him.
Just, sometime in the near future, call me and give me an update on the, union and, Victor, please.
Yeah, Victor, we talked about,
David would like to meet with you
yeah,
on
just
Victor.
in the field,
I
like
will. I'll
where.
make it happen.
Yeah.
And on Union, we've got an agreement with the DOT. They've sent it to me to sign so that we can put our own speed display signs up. And so
Wonderful.
we're going to implement that.
Wonderful, thank you.
So,
That makes me very happy.
That's that. That's the update.
Excellent, thank you.
And then we'll check the traffic and see if it makes a difference.
Some, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes it's
For one.
perception.
It's that one, Sharon.
Yeah.
Right.
One.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Travis.
Okay, Travis Adams, Mason County Administrator. Okay, I remember first time. So first item is a circle back from a couple weeks ago. As you'll recall, we received a proposal from a local law firm to do one of two things, either provide administrative oversight of the Office of Public Defense or to contract all services through their law firm. We had decided to go to put together an RFP to see if there was anyone else that had other proposals out there. I included the RFP in the packet. I just wanted to circle back and say that we had done that. It's been notified in the paper and it's ready for distribution as you all see fit.
That's awesome.
So that was the first item. Second item is there was a request made last week. Oh, are there any questions on that before I?
So just make sure, you know, that regardless of this, we all have a belief on the one point, make sure absolutely take care of all the way through that process.
100%.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Next one, there was a request for Members of America 250 thank you letter. That letter was completed last week and it's in the packet. I just wanted
They
Thank
came
you
all the
guys
way
for
down for
coming.
that? That's funny.
So that letter is in the
Thank you.
packet. We'll get
You're gonna have to change the signature lines though.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Sharon for taking back the chair.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
not doing that one.
It's nice.
okay.
Nope. That's all you.
I did not
Other
see
than that, I liked it very well, very much.
It's a good letter.
And
Do
two
appreciate that.
other quick items before Jennifer comes up. One, I just wanted to circle back as a reminder, next Tuesday, we'll be requesting to set a public hearing for the wake boat ordinance proposal. So I'm only bringing it up to say, pick a day where you've got lots of time. Because it's been generating lots of
Well,
conversations.
that's why
Hot topic.
I told you we should do it this way, because I remember the last time, there's a lot. I am finding though, just to share with the commission, a lot of it is a quick misunderstanding right off the bat. And when you take the time to explain a few things to them, almost everybody has apologized for being such an a-hole about it when they start, because they take it personal, man. And understand what we're talking about here. We are trying, these boats didn't exist 50 years ago. The damage didn't exist 50 years ago. I'm saying this for the public, not saying, didn't exist 50 years ago. The things we have to deal with sometimes come up, and you have to deal with them right now because it's been ongoing and it hasn't been addressed. There's a lot of different things that are going on with this, and this is as simple as we're just trying to be power mongers and be jerks. We're trying to protect everybody's right to be able to live a nice, quiet, simple life on property that they invested on, and to find a way to enjoy themselves.
Yes, well, I've had numerous people reach out to me on both sides of the topic and strong opinions on both sides, and so I would just anticipate that there's gonna be a lot of conversation around it.
I think people should also remember that the reason people come to our county is because other counties have banned them completely, so that's why they travel to Mason County.
And a reminder, we still have the whole Puget Sound.
Yes.
Just saying. For some reason, some of these people that call, they seem to have forgot that. I explained to them, it's not just here. They can go out in the Hood Canal. They can go out into the Puget Sound. Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
We have a lot of water in Mason County.
Yeah. But thank you for all the work that you've done on that, though.
And one other,
The SEDS list thing, I think it's time we get that thing, because with all these requests that are coming in, we need to have that policy pretty soon, I would think.
Oh, to apply for the 09.
oh, for the,
Or, yeah, for the 09 funds, sorry. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, translating for you.
Yeah, Randy, speak again, my apologies.
yes, and so I've already received feedback. I had put it on your chair to see if you
Yes.
had any additional feedback. If you don't, then it's pretty much done and I can bring it back forward.
Yes,
Okay,
I'll double check one more time, but.
okay. Perfect. And then the other one I wanted to bring up was a request that came in, and honestly, I think the discussion was before my time in this position. I don't really know the answer to it. Somebody wanted to know what the commission's position is on short-term rentals and whether or not there was gonna be any further discussion. I remember that it was a discussion item a while back, but that was just from me watching briefings. I don't actually know what the content was.
Politics do change things. I myself, it's supposed to be before the planning commission, and then we're supposed to be discussing what's at the planning commission, but we can try to skirt it now and have a discussion about it. I understand how some of the people feel, and I'm a realtor, I especially understand how some of them feel, but at the same time, I'm looking at trying to protect the rights of those that it's affecting as well as the rights of those to do it. Don't wanna stop them personally, I'm just talking for myself, I don't wanna stop long-term rentals, that's not what I wanna make sure that they're in safe locations where they, can operate without burning down, because people have an automatic assumption when they rent a place that it's already, that there has been a check of some sorts, they just assume that it has. I also wanna make sure that the neighbors aren't completely devastated and overrun by it. So I do think it's worth looking at, but again, it's supposed to be in the planning commission's hands at this point for us to look at.
Okay, I wasn't trying to drop it on you, I was simply throwing out there that somebody was asking about it, so it's a topic on somebody's mind, and so I didn't know if that was something that you all wanted to roundtable here at some point, or if, like you said, that's actually something you're waiting.
Well, we have a complete different commissioner now than when it started. So I think unless the planning commission is gonna be bringing something forward, I think we need to roundtable it again, because a full 1/3 of the body wasn't here.
Okay, well, I can certainly circle back, find out if the planning commission is doing anything, and then bring it back, and you all can have a discussion about it. Okay, that'll
Planning
work.
commission has changed quite a bit too.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of new people.
Yeah.
And that is all I have, so Jen is up.
We've got more than a third.
Huh?
We're more than a third.
Yeah.
Jennifer Byerly with Support Services, Budget and Finance Manager. I have the financials for you this morning for March, and I'll share my screen. Okay, beginning with the revenue for current expense, comparing March of 2026 to March of 2025. We have received so far in the general fund this year $10,161,954, compared to last year $10,153,286. So very comparable there. We're at 21% of our budgeted overall revenue this year, compared with 23% last year. The treasurer's revenue detail. So this year we've received in the treasurer's office $6,359,291, compared with last year $6,485,627. We're at 20% of our budgeted revenue in the treasurer's office this year, compared to 22% last year.
Now that almost always recorrects itself though.
Yes, March, I mean, we haven't received a lot of our property taxes by March typically, so I'm expecting that April will look much higher than March.
But I see one on here that I'm really doubting that we're gonna get back, and that seems to be the community development monies. That's been, the last few months, it's been back a little bit. Is there something that you know that you can share with us?
Yes, I did receive from Leo the cash balance for community development, and I'll share that with Travis so that he can forward it on to you.
Thank you.
So their cash balance at the end of 2025 was $1,329,809, And they've brought in, so far this year, $446,742. And their expenditures so far through March are $799,786. So their overall cash balance at the end of March is just under $1 million. And I'll share that with you, and I'll talk about that when we get to the reserves as well. The expenditures for the general fund, so far through March, we've expended $15,347,632 compared to last year in March, $12,539,867. We're at 27% of our budget this year compared to 22% last year. And as I say, every month I have, or at least I have for the last few months, we had a big payment in January to the risk pool, that $2.4 million out of the general fund that we don't typically have in January, but we will moving forward. So this year is kind of that anomaly year where it looks like we're expending a lot more, but it's not.
It accounts for almost the whole thing, so.
Yeah, I mean.
I see.
I mean, the payment to the risk pool is alarming to me, the amount. I mean, it's gone up just astronomically, and I don't know what we can do to lower that, but
I don't think
that's
there's anything we can do because that's set by them.
Yeah,
We can't afford to do it on our own.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah, can't afford not to pay it.
And we can't afford to buy anybody else because they're all going through it.
yeah,
Mhm.
so it just,
It is what it is.
yeah. The special fund, 6-year recap. So the community development, their revenue is at $447,000, and that is down over the last few years, last 5 years. So I don't know, maybe that will pick up.
Hope so.
Maybe it's cause for alarm, I'm not
One of the
sure.
problems is that there's actually a glut of homes on the market. There's more homes for sale in Washington State than there ever has been before. It's just been an exodus of people. It's kind of the effects of overtaxing people. So a lot of people are leaving. When there's lots of homes available for sale, you build less. I think that's.
But the good news is that we haven't hit the foreclosure rates yet, so if, what you said, and you add that, I've seen that before, and that's time to really be afraid, but I don't see the other half yet. But he's right, it is a time right now, it's becoming a buyer's market.
Yeah, I don't know that we can count on that correcting itself.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier, because I'm not sure either. Can you later on extrapolate that out for a year to see what we're gonna look at for a possible, I understand it's just possible, but for a possible short fund?
So project what community development might look like
Yeah.
for the rest of the year?
Using the average for the quarter, and just give us, so we have a heads up that we might have to worry about this.
Okay. I mean, I feel like Kell could probably give a better estimate on
Either
that.
one,
and-
I'll take
okay.
however I can get it, but I could do this and go into 4 and just assume,
100,000 less.
yeah. But still, so much less than the year before that is.
Mhm.
Well, and part of that is skewed a little bit in 2024, and maybe a little bit in 25 because of the ARPA funds that were received. So it's maybe not quite as bad as it looks on this report.
How did the ARPA funds pay into the community development revenues?
We transferred money in there for those 2, I believe it was 2 scanners,
Yep, I remember
the
that.
temporary
And,
scanners.
and I think we even took ARPA funds to pay for bodies to do some of that as well.
Yeah, so we ended up,
Couple $100,000?
I don't remember the exact amount, I would have to,
That's all right.
to get that, but I can put that on
Yeah,
the.
just,
on the
Yeah.
it gives us an idea though, just because you're saying I'm remembering.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we still have one person
I
over
think
there.
we did 200,000, I think that's what
Yeah,
we
I
did, but,
think so too. Might have been more when you include the
yeah. could have done more than one thing.
Right.
Yeah, I believe we do have one person still there, and they were funded through 2026.
Yeah, yeah.
But we ended up reallocating those funds to, I believe it was the, I forget what we called it, but basically the general government and law enforcement salaries and wages.
Oh, that's right.
Just to get it billed out, and that way we wouldn't have to reallocate
Yeah.
those funds.
Mhm.
You know.
Which, as long as it works.
Yeah, yeah, it works. I mean, it worked, but then it, what we had already transferred in,
It does mess with the numbers a bit.
yes.
One of the things, Pat, to share with you, one reason why we didn't have a lot of the same beatings that other ones did is we took most of our money and gave it back to the community, the public and businesses, and we expended a lot out for a lot of different projects and everything else instead of eating it all. Some of our local ones ate it all, then they hired a bunch of people with it, and then they couldn't maintain it.
So the rest of the revenue streams on here look fairly flat.
Property
Property
taxes
tax.
down.
Yeah, but that will.
It always.
It
always-
fluctuates, yeah.
Yeah, I think the fact that the statements went out a little bit later, affects the timing of when people pay, that would be my guess.
The only time I remember really having an effect was, I think it was 2013, when it first coming in, because there was so much going on in the country, and they were just late doing it by a year or so, making some of their payments, they fell behind.
Okay,
But we got it back eventually,
Yeah.
it always comes back eventually.
yeah. Yeah, everything looks fairly flat to me. REIT is slightly down over last year, but not too much. It's pretty flat with
Pretty
previous
average. Yeah.
couple years. The sales tax through March is up again this month. We received $737,000 in March, compared to last year. At the same time, we received $711,000 in March, so that's an increase of almost $26,000 for that 1 month. We're projected to receive over $10.6 million if we collect exactly what we did in April through December of last year, if we collect that amount this year. The 6-year financial recap. So this one I had taken out, and it's on your printout, but I took out the technology replacement reserves because we had moved that in the general fund, because we had moved that down to IT, the IT fund in our policy, and I forgot to do it in the budget. So I'll fix that in the first budget
But
amendment.
we all agreed to do that.
Yeah, I just need to fix it on the sheet. Our cash balance at the end of March is $19,208,200, and removing that reserve, it's showing that we have the current expense unreserved cash of negative $1 million. I need to add in to this worksheet the current expense, the community development cash balance, so I'll do that for next month. We had included that in our reserve policy as well, and I did include that in the budget, just the reserved amount. So right now they have about $1 million in cash that they, that belongs to.
Never being on that list before. When did we?
We talked about it in audit committee, and then it is in the that policy, that we would just keep that reserve amount of cash.
Under
in
general
the
fund
budget.
though?
Yeah, because they're in the general fund, the community development. And, they could be, technically, you could make them a.
So where's it been all these years?
It's just been included in that 19 million, in the cash balance, so, really we should be, and Leo shows it, I believe, in the annual report, the amount of cash that they have, but we should probably show it in the budget just to match it, and that's what we did in the, or what you did in the, or agreed to in the policy. So, I just need to show it in these reports so that you can see what their cash balance is. And then if you wanted to, you could make them an enterprise fund, a 400 number fund, their own.
What's the
separate
benefit for
fund.
that?
It just is a very clear tracking mechanism, basically.
We try to keep them separate anyway, but
Yeah.
do you think it'd be a strength for us to do that, or?
I don't know. I mean, it's just a different way to account for it. We don't legally have to do it unless they have their own debt. So I don't know if it's really a strength or not. I mean, if we're having to
Well, if we set up
supplement
as an
them.
enterprise fund, we can't take it for, I don't wanna take it anyway, but we
Yeah.
can't. If we set up as an enterprise fund, we can't move it if something happens or anything. So
Yeah.
is that, I guess that's what I'm saying, is the strength overcome that weakness? And you don't have to give me an answer now, just something to think about if we're gonna talk about doing it. It is nice for them to make sure that money stays there and stuff, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't look at it as a strength or a weakness, just different, I guess. Just something to think about. I mean, yeah, and we don't have to do that, so if you don't wanna think about it, that's fine. You know, or if you wanna, you know, keep it on the table for later, that's fine too. So yeah, we have 19,208,200 in the general fund, and we're at 21% of our revenue, again, received this year, budgeted revenue, and 27% of our expenditures. The cash balances for the special funds are at $70,200,956, and that is up over the previous 5 years. And that is a little bit surprising to me because of, you know, the ARPA fund, you know, that continues to go down, so other funds are going up.
Picking up, yeah.
The motor pool summary, we have budgeted for 2026, $1,944,215 in motor pool. Last year was 2.1 million. This year, so far, we have expended 398,000 compared to last year about 419,000 through March. So looks pretty comparable there. I'm surprised that we're under, but we did have a few more capital upfits last year than we did this year.
How many do we have coming in?
I don't remember how many are coming in right now. I think we've received most of the PPVs. Those are the ones with the upfits, the police pursuit vehicles. The white fleet, I believe we have one more that Kelly was waiting for. We had ordered 18 of them, and yeah, I think there was one more that we were waiting on out of the 18.
So we're looking at, we know we did do some different payments out of '09 or anything like that, the sewer, then some others. I'm looking at another $1 million in road funds and another $1 million in REIT, because we also did expend that, and we haven't said anything this last year. So that accounts for at least, you know, three and a half of that difference on the cash.
For
special fund cash balances.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's why we're.
I was wondering where you were at.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's why we were so high. I was stuck on the last one trying to figure out why are we high? And that's why. We're not gonna have to make that one payment, so we actually get to use those funds, some of it, for other things.
Yeah, the sales and use tax fund is at 4.374 million.
And then the road was $1 million, when we knew it was gonna go there, it was opposite of what they said. And it was gonna
Yeah, the other one that, that continues to stay high is the ER&R fund. They're at about 6.5 million.
And then the landfill also.
Yeah, the landfill is doing well.
I wonder why did we, well, maybe they'll come up, I'm trying to remember, did they already ask us for a large expenditure there and they just haven't done it, or are we waiting to have one come to us?
On which one?
Landfill. But that's up over $1 million as well.
I know they're planning on doing improvements, but I don't know if it's been,
Brought to us yet?
yeah.
Okay. We keep track, that's why that's about $4 million.
Okay, the special funds, the revenue, we have received $10,328,626 this year, compared to $11,601,920 last year. We're at 17% of our budgeted revenue this year compared to 21% last year. And the expenditures for the special funds.
So, and there it is, a couple percent one way, a couple percent the other way.
Yeah, the expenditures follow along with the revenues pretty well. We're at $10,371,269 on the expenditures this year, and $11,023,642 last year. We're at 14% of our expenditure budget this year and 16% last year. And the county debt is at $14,511,586, which is the same as last month. We didn't have any payments this month. So any other questions or comments besides the community development? Okay. Okay, great. That's all I have for you. Thank you. I'll stop my share.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Anything else from Mr. Travis? All right, commissioner discussions. I have a few things.
What you got?
I met with the 5 chairs of the Timberland Regional Library
Get our popcorn.
group.
I know.
And it did not go swimmingly. They have dug their heels in. They are not going to appoint dean. And
Are the others going to retract? Because only one was not going to.
so right now it's still Thurston County. And the discussion was had on, well, what if they pulled their nominee? Would we pull our nominee? And I said, it has nothing to do with your nominee. We're not going to appoint yours unless you appoint ours. It's just that simple. So it was very cordial. We had a good conversation, but that's where we are.
Did you know which one, did they say which commissioner is standing in the way, or?
It's really boils down to all of them now. They pointed to a article that I hadn't seen. I've now seen it, but that I talked to Dean about it, and Dean is, not pleased, and says it's completely inaccurate and misleading. So he's going to write some letters, and he may take other action. But I said, well, the only way I see out of this would be to ask Dean if he would like to withdraw his nomination, because I'm not going to undermine the previous commission, and I don't think you guys want to change your stance. So I don't think we're going to change our stance. We're kind of at an impasse. So I did call Dean, and I discussed that with him, and he said he will consider it, but he's not inclined at this moment to withdraw his application. So really nothing has happened or changed, other than we agreed to keep the dialogue open. I will meet with two more of the commissioners, Thursday, I think. I have to check my calendar. I'll meet with Commissioner Grant and Mejia and discuss it with them and see if I can.
What
change
about
the
the, all this turmoil and stuff like that, and the request from the,
The agreement was that now is not the time to add more chaos to the mix. They have enough chaos as it is right now, and the other.
He did resign,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah, there are, there's a number of problems they're gonna have to resolve. My suggestion was that they go out and hire somebody who is retired, who's done that job before, as an interim. Somebody who knows what happens, what's going on, and put a, whatever the term would be, 6 months or something along those lines. So you don't want somebody who's gonna come in there with any illusions. This is a temporary thing, but they need to come in there, evaluate, and do what needs to be done, make the hard choices to right that ship.
I know who I'd like to be that person, but they may not consider her because she's a very strong woman.
who?
She knows the library, she's got a passion for it.
He knows, but I don't, who?
No, I don't.
Oh, Edna Fund. She was a commissioner in
I know
Jones
who Edna
County.
Fund is,
Yeah.
she's also
But
financially,
she loves
she's-
the library.
but she's a financial
And she's-
person too.
Yeah, she's been very frustrated because she could see what was going on.
Yeah, we used to talk to her about things for bonds and stuff like that.
No, she's
They need a financial person.
a smart woman.
And somebody with the knowledge.
Will she apply?
I don't know.
Call her?
Yeah.
We also don't, we all agreed, we don't wanna step in and take over the Timberland
No, please.
Regional Library. It's not our job, but it is our job to oversee. And so I don't know where we're gonna end up with our nominee, but it's,
I would say at this point, I would leave it up to Dean if he wants to resign. I mean, it's been well over a year.
oh yeah,
So,
it's before I was on the
Yeah.
commission, so.
so if Dean decides that, leave it up to Dean either way. I would support whatever Dean wants to do.
A few of the commissioners said they would like to reach out to you guys individually, and I said, you're free to do
Yeah.
what you want, but, I really don't have a dog in this fight, is what I said. I wasn't on the commission,
Well, and the funny
but I
thing
will
is,
support.
I wasn't for or against Dean at the time. But once you know how I am, once our board says something and does it, even whether I agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. We're a family, we stand together, we take the meetings together, but the idea of being forced into a change is not something I do well.
Yeah, and I discussed all that with Dean. I said, you have our support, but it's this is a way through this problem. If he wants to do that, that's really up to him. So I didn't find it as a very didn't advance the cause very well, but it is what it is. So.
Does anybody know if there is what it is for removal of one board member? I know they had that thing that they sent us to remove all board members, but to remove one, what does that take? Do we know? I'll look into it if we don't.
The discussion was generally each of the counties can remove their appointees at will, so the commissions could remove their
Yeah,
appointees.
I do know that, that's true.
And there were discussions that, each one of the counties have had discussions with their particular members saying, okay, well, your allegations are that you were kept in the dark on a lot of this stuff. But you have a responsibility to ask the questions, so get this turned around or we will replace you. And, that's not necessarily a threat, but it's.
No, but I'm there with you on that, because it is, just like it's our responsibility. We have these things happen, and we disagree with even some of that, but it doesn't matter, it's still us in the end.
Yeah, well,
It's
and
them.
it's still a tax
Yeah.
to them.
Right. Again, it was a cordial meeting, nobody ended up yelling or screaming or anything like that, but it also didn't move the ball forward effectively.
Yeah, but you got them together, and it's a start. How do you know if it one bite at a time? You got them together. That's start a
Yeah.
dialogue. I think it's a good thing, and now we have an opportunity to reach out also. And see what we can do on the sides. Let's wait and find out though from Dean what he's gonna do, because it makes no sense to work an issue that's not an issue.
Yeah, and that's where I landed, it's like, well,
No,
it's
I
really up to
appreciate it.
him,
No,
so.
appreciate it well.
Then maybe they should consider, if he had been on there, maybe.
That's-
Oh, I absolutely agree, I said that, you really needed him on there. I mean, he would not have been afraid to speak up, and that's what he does, so. It's, it's a shame that it didn't go through earlier,
That's frustrating.
but also talking to Dean, I said, maybe it's a good thing you didn't get put on there, because the whole thing blew up. So I don't know where it'll go, but we'll keep discussing it, keep everybody in the loop.
Well, thanks for doing that.
No problem. I forgot what the other one I was gonna bring up now. Comment on the wake boat issue. You brought up last time we talked about it, jet boats. Can you give Travis a little bit more information? Because I was not quite sure
Yeah.
what definition.
And to be honest with you, I'm not even, what it is all these phone calls that have been going, I get them all the time, and that was always part of it as well. They want to be able to regulate these ones that are super powerful. I think he said it better, the ones that have the exhaust out over the top of them and stuff.
Yeah,
And-
I followed up with the sheriff's office and had a report ran for the last few years of any complaint that had to do with jet boats, and virtually all of them either had to do with excessive noise, which has to do with the muffler system, which already there's a statute to cover that, or speed, reckless driving, which there's already statute to address those. There were a few other miscellaneous jet boat complaints, but it was more like jet skis and.
Well, what I would ask, because again, I'm asking for the inclusion of it because the people have been asking for the inclusion of it. If you do it that way and tell us that, we can make the decision to do nothing also. We're allowed to say that we appreciate their, because they're gonna come and testify, we appreciate their testimony, we hear it. But this, maybe we need to look at better options on how to enforce it. But maybe there's not an option right now to restrict it because it's already restricted for the issues they have. That's the reason why I wanted it included, not even because I'm 100% against. Let them do their testimony, let them come in, and then we as the adults, well, no, that was terrible. We as those that are making the final decisions will make the decisions based on that. If they can make a great enough argument and change all of our minds, that's one thing, but at least it'll be there for them to talk about if they want.
I guess what I was saying is, at least from my understanding of what the jet boat complaints are, they're already specifically identified in statute.
Well, they were looking at restricting them and not having them on there. So that's what they were asking me for. So I don't have the answer. I just know that was their request. So if we just have that option that's there for us to look at, I'm not even sure I would go for it. I'm just trying to.
Well, I'm saying I don't understand what it would be that would be restricted. I mean, if you say anything about jets, you're talking about jet skis, you're talking about regular motorboats that have outboard jet outboards on them. You could be talking about jet boats that are just for water skiing. I mean, the only jet complaints that I found had to do with either noise or reckless driving, essentially, and those are already covered by statute. So I don't know what that would look like. I don't know.
They may be just using a term that's a term that they know that doesn't have a balance to it. What is the?
However, I would say
on speed?
that if they come to the public hearing and bring up things about jet boats that we all can wrap our head around and understand, that would be appropriate and you wanted to make an amendment, then we could do that. But right now, I don't know what.
Except for I would always rather, when we do that, I agree with you, but I always rather have a straw dog that we can change or adjust than just to make it up from the chair completely and add it to a hearing. I'm never comfortable with that. When I'm in favor of something, it just,
Yeah,
it's
no,
very uncomfortable up there to make it up, and we have, we've gotten away with it, but it just never, it always feels wrong when we can at least put it out there. I don't see how I'm gonna be able to support it anyway, but I'm not representing just myself, these others that we're calling. Especially since it started, there's a lot of stuff that they're asking for now, as you, I'm sure, are hearing as well.
Well, I've got it from both ends. I heard from a couple people that the ordinance doesn't go nearly far enough, and got some pretty strong suggestions about how we could make it even more comprehensive.
I had one doctor told me he spent $180,000 on a boat. How do you spend $180,000 on a boat?
Oh, on those boats, you absolutely
Yeah,
have.
Easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
but that's why we have to have hearings, so we can talk about those things and get the input. They may make a great example that change our minds, change my mind, or they may not.
All right. Does that help clarify the direction?
Well, I mean, I have no idea how I can include jet boats. I don't know what that would be. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
I'd
think,
say.
I think the answer is we're not going to in what we put out for, you know, the public hearing, you know, what we're going to announce about it, so that people get to read it, evaluate, whatever. I don't think we're gonna include jet boats in that. But
I'd just like to have something there as a straw dog if something does happen, if they do wanna testify on it.
I said they can testify on it, doesn't mean that we have to include it in the,
Yeah, I just don't wanna have a second hearing if
Decision.
it does become a good argument.
And the last issue is something that, you know, you're working on with the code enforcement group, and that, can you give us an update on what's happening, when we?
quite a bit is happening, honestly. So they chose one property to really go after. And the sheriff's office, I have to commend them, they are doing an amazing job with this one property. 50 some odd, I think, I don't remember exactly what was in the email, but they're doing a great job in following up on that one. One of the properties I found out has been sold. So Dave and his team are monitoring that to make sure that the mess on that property isn't being taken over to another property. So things are happening, and I think it's all good things. And once the word gets out that we're doing that. Also, so if we talk about an abatement fund,
Yes.
yes, and having money in that, we were talking about $250,000 for Mason Lake. What's your thoughts on taking that $250,000 and putting that in an abatement fund?
Well, since they changed the law, we can use REIT.
I mean, yeah.
For, it's REIT that we can use for abatement.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, great too.
So, and I don't know that we need to set it aside, but it is one of the tools that we're gonna have to put into play. There's so many properties in Mason County that need addressing, so, I mean, it's great that we're really focusing on getting one of them going, but.
Yeah, but do we have the staff to go after all of them?
We
Gotta think of
can't-
that too.
We can't do them all at once,
No.
no, but we can't let up on the pressure of like, okay, we took out one, let's go to the next, and then the next, and then the next. There's almost no time to breathe between.
Oh, no, there's no.
So I was talking to the sheriff, I just had a meeting with him on something else, and we ended up talking about it. I'm a firm believer you can do more than just the one. We should be doing some of the low-hanging fruit.
Well, and they are. Their target for the entire team is one property. But our people are still working on different properties, and so is the sheriff's office.
Yes, as he explained that to me, but I do know there's some other ones that literally we can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. There are more that I think we should be doing. We just focus on one. That is not a bad thing, but not as good as we can do. That's just my opinion, and I have the same right to an opinion as you do, I
Yeah.
think. You know, I can see
Not
several
saying you don't.
properties that, I was just, sorry, I'm reading your face.
Yeah, I don't have a very good poker.
Yeah, I know that there's ways, just looking at the different rules and laws that could, where action could just happen, but we need to get maybe two of them together just to make sure that the sheriff, for example, has got some backup when it comes to certain issues. One property I can think of, you know it fits the definition, aside from all this other stuff, when it comes to all the vehicles and everything else, we know that they're Hulk vehicles, we know that the sheriff has the ability to actually go out there and have them towed out because he recognizes them as Hulk vehicles. We know now that they actually even have the ability to, serve warrants, or, not warrants, yeah, search warrants, I guess, on that property because the lawsuit that just happened there. With all that, but I'd also like to make sure that our prosecuting attorney would agree with it and do backup on it so that we don't put anybody at risk for doing it. It's things like that that are the further conversations. And that's one of the reasons why I want to be here. We all have different views on how to go about it, how to help. And I've been around a long time. I've read all these. As I'm talking to the sheriff, he didn't even know some of the things that I'm reading them to him, but I read them for over years. And they're still the same because we never changed them. So I just think that it's important that we all get some interaction there.
No, I'm not saying that, I don't think it's important that that you guys aren't included, but I'm just telling you what was happening, and
Appreciate it.
and I wanna make sure that the people that are doing things get the recognition for doing them. It's not an easy task going out there and dealing with drugs and human waste and.
I agree, and sometimes I believe some of the earlier actions keep it from getting worse and worse. As for an abatement fund, it's not that I'm against it, because it might be the way to go. I just wanna make sure we're not just throwing money at things first. To have the fund when we have a project and they need the money to do it, that's a different thing. They come to us.
Well, I thought at one point you guys were talking about having a fund
Yeah.
available
Well,
for that, so that's where I came up with the
No.
250. If you don't wanna do it, that's fine.
Well, no,
I
it's
don't
not
care.
that I don't want to, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, instead of just having a fund, if we did, I want it to be coming out of it, not for these programs like was brought to us, where they wanna hire all these other people. That isn't it. Let's find a way to work with the stuff we have, use the money to offset it. They come in, they say we can do this, this, and this, go for the money, take it out of that account. I'm good with that, actually. I just wanna make sure we just don't do it as a blanket thing for them just to start hitting for a bunch of other things. I know you're very supportive of the staff, and I try to be, but at times, I also need the staff to do certain things. So that's where you and I quite often differ when it comes to dealing with them. But I'm still in the same mindset, that I want them to show me with the actions, and then ask for the money, than I am just to create the money pocket and then have them just spend out of it.
As long as you support them coming to us and asking us for money, and they don't fear coming to us and asking for money. That's what I wanna stop. I don't want staff to feel like they're gonna come here, ask for something, and then us telling them before that we want this, and then they come here and ask for something, and then they're told, no, you can't do it because we don't have the money. And that's happened in the past, so.
Yeah, but it's, at the same time, that's part of them doing business too. They're gonna come to us for money and we say no sometimes. That's the way it works.
I know, I'm just saying, keep your priorities and make sure that you know what your priorities are, so that when they do come and ask for something that you've asked for, you support them.
Well, I know myself, I know which one you're talking about. I told them that it isn't just come ask for us for money, that isn't the answer, show me work. So they knew where I was at beforehand. I didn't confuse them, yeah.
There's a lot of times, it's
Yeah,
not
but-
just one time.
Cause I'm not a wallflower, I'm pretty open about how I feel, and I tell them whenever they ask me, I don't hide it, so.
Well, you asked about setting up an abatement fund. I have no problem with setting up an abatement fund. I just thought, well, the money's already there and it's set aside as REIT funds, so I kind of think, well, it's almost an abatement fund, but you want to segregate it as a totally separate fund.
Well, I think that if the team knows that there's money in the pot,
Specifically
Right.
set aside for that.
right,
Yeah, I'm getting used to the color of money.
mm-hmm.
And for me, my bank account is my bank account, and that's, if I gotta spend money, I spend money, and it all comes from the same place, so.
We're a little different.
Yeah, it's,
Comes from different pots.
yeah, so, I don't know. I think that's, we can discuss that again.
Yeah, and I don't
Next
know
week.
when the next meeting is scheduled. I don't know that it has been, I think they were gonna meet
I
once
think
a
it's when
quarter.
I'm on vacation.
Is it?
No, I
talk
thought
to-
that they said it was once a month until they get things really up and
Yeah.
running and have their program, but
But if you guys wanna go to the next one, you guys decide who goes. I would happily set aside, or step aside.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we wanna cycle through that, that's fine with me too.
I'd like to cycle through.
But it's, you know, as long as we just keep making progress, it's what, it's the only way I know how to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. That's just the only way you're gonna make progress on this. And the problem has gotten significantly, well, it's almost out of control.
Oh, encourage you to go on a plane ride with the sheriff sometime. Travis is like, no, don't.
I don't mind doing that, it's just I've driven out to enough of these places and go, wow.
Oh, you see them, they're very evident, very obvious.
All right, well, I have nothing else that I want to add or bring up, so
I got nothing.
would you like to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All right.
Second?
So moved and seconded, we are adjourned.